Hello everyone, my name is Sarah and welcome to the Bookish Knitter. Today I am coming to you with my October 2021 TBR. Say it with me everybody, it's TBR time! Yay! So, I'm calling this my TBR / pile of possibilities. One of my lovely viewers told me that phrase when I did my reading discussions or my reading enjoyment video, and I loved it. And I think it's perfect because, yes, I pick an epically big TBR. However, this is just what in a perfect world, this is what I would get to. But in reality, chances are I might read half of these books. So I've got a lot to pick from. So it is a big pile of possibilities. Now, the thumbnail that I held up, there was like 4 books that I couldn't hold up because it was just too much. This is like the month of physical books, or of physical books to read, and I am super, super excited about that. There's just something I do love about carrying around a physical book and reading a physical book, so I'm looking forward to it. So I have a lot to go through. Now, the first thing I'm going to mention is that, like last month, I talked about the books that I was going to be reading for I picked them out of a jar for the Fall Into Reading Challenge, which is hosted by Tia from Tia and All the Books, Rainy from Rainy Day Reads, Angie from Literary Labors, and my sincerest apologies to the lovely Kelly over at Cozy Reader Kelly's channel. I had your name wrong. I am so sorry. I apologize greatly. So those are the 4 ladies who are hosting the Fall Into Reading Challenge. I will post all of their channels in the description box below, so you can go ahead and check them out. So what I did last month is I picked 8 books, and I'm like, these are the 8 I'm going to read, and honestly, I didn't get to all of them. I think I only got to 3 of them. So what I'm actually going to do, from the ones I actually picked, but what I realized was that I actually read books that fit other prompts. So what I'm going to do, or what I've done, is I've created a list of all of the prompts for the Fall Into Reading Challenge, and it lasts for 4 months. It's September, October, and November. And as I finish books that fit a prompt, I'm just going to plug them in. This works for me when I do the Romance Readers Reading Challenge on Goodreads, and I really like doing that. So I think it's going to work really well for this too. So what I'm going to do is at the end of the month when I do my wrap up, I'm going to do this in September as well. So you'll see that video probably next week. So what I'm going to do is I will tell you guys what books I read for those challenges. So I thought that would be kind of fun. So yeah, it just makes it a little bit easier. So essentially with my October TBR, this is probably one of my first mood read TBRs, if you want to call it that. I know it doesn't really, mood read isn't really something that you make a list and I want to read these, but what's been happening over the last 3 or 4 months is I've been keeping track and keeping notes on my phone. When I'd see a book and I'd be like, oh, I really want to read that, and I'm sure we all do it. We all use the Notes app or something like that to keep track. Or some people just use Goodreads and add it to their want to read list. But I've been keeping a list of books that I feel fit October very well, meaning spookier, darker, Halloween themed, what have you. And so when it came time to put together my TBR, I'm like, okay, I want to read all those books. I think there's 12 of them I have here. And one of them is a must read, and it's from NetGalley. And the reason it's a must read is because I have it on audio and it expires at the end of October. So I need to get to it in October. And then I do have 5 books for the book clubs and stuff that I need to read for the podcast. And then I have library books that I went to the library today and picked up some books. I'm very excited. And then another little fun section I have here. And then I am participating in Victober. So I'm excited to talk about those books. I have some Kindle Unlimited books to share with you guys. So there's a lot here. There's a lot. But like I said, this is an October TBR / pile of possibilities. I'm super, super excited. Excuse me while I have a drink of water. And let's jump in and get started. So, some of these books you guys are going to be like, really? You're going to read that? But this is a little all over the map in terms of the books I'm going to be reading, and I'm really excited. So the first one, these are the books that I've been putting on that list and books that I kind of wanted to get to. So the first one we have is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I have heard a lot of good things about this book. I hear it's a horror book, and it freaked a lot of people out, spooky, kind of scary. So we shall see how I do with it. If it gets a little too much for me, I might DNF it, or I might just say, not now is not the time, or I'll put it in the freezer to think about what it did. But I am looking forward to this one. I've heard a lot of good things. The next one that I have on my list is a book that I bought, I think it was last year. And I know everybody was reading it last year, and I've heard really mixed reviews about this one, but I do have a copy of it, I think, on my Kindle, so I'm really looking forward to getting to it, and that is The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by, of course, Grady Hendrix. I know everyone is probably familiar with this book. I have heard that it's a cross between, is it Steel Magnolias and Buffy the Vampire Slayer? And I love both those things, so I'm really, really hopeful I'm going to love this one, so we shall see. The next one is a physical book that I have here. And this one I found while I was kind of cleaning my Harlequin shelves out. And I came across this one. I went, oh, it takes place in the fall. I have to read it. And this is Unmasking the Maverick by Teresa Southwick. This is part of the Rust Creek, Montana Mavericks, the Lonely Hearts Ranch series. I don't know what number it is in the series, but pumpkin. So I am very, very excited to get to this one. So yeah, we've had two kind of spookier books and now a Harlequin, a Harlequin romance. Because why not? Because this is my channel and I read all of the things. So yeah, I am very, very much looking forward to getting to that one. So let me put that down there. Next up, another Harlequin novel. Brie and I were fortunate enough to interview this author a few weeks back, and she talked about this book, and I had meant to read it ahead of talking to her, but I didn't get a chance to do that. So I do plan on reading it in October because it sounds like a Gothic romance. And this is The Housekeeper of Thorn Hollow Hall. And this is by Lottie James, who is a delightful person to speak to, by the way. And this one just sounds really good. Like I said, it's like a Gothic romance in the vein, in a way, of like Rebecca, Jane Eyre, that kind of a darker, twistier, Gothic kind of feel to it. So I'm looking forward to that one. The next one is another contemporary romance, and I came across this one a few weeks ago. It was on sale on the Kindle. I don't know if it still will be when this video goes up, but check it out in case you do want to see. It was only 99 cents. And this is Pumpkin Patch Sweethearts by Sasha Summers. This is the second book in the Welsh Sisters series. And yeah, this one just looks super adorable. Sasha Summers is a delightful person to speak to as well. We've been fortunate enough on the podcast to talk to her too. And she said that this series, so there's two books in this series. The first one is a Valentine's Day themed romance. And then this one, which is like autumn festival themed. She said they read, like she wrote them essentially with the idea of a Hallmark movie in her mind. So they're very sweet. So I'm really looking forward to this one. The next one I have is a book that has been on my October TBR for like the past 4 years, and I never get to it. And one of these years I will. You know, if I just keep putting it on my October TBR, one of these years I will read it. Every year I say this is going to be the year, but I may try and start with this one, so maybe that this year will be the year. And this is a nonfiction, so this is going to definitely, I really want to read this one for sure. Like, I can read a nonfiction in November, and it will fit for the nonfiction prompt for the Fall Into Reading Challenge, but I just really want to read this one. And this is A Season with the Witch by J.W. Ocker. The Magic and Mayhem of Halloween in Salem, Massachusetts. So like I said, it's a nonfiction. It's about this man who takes his wife and his 2 little girls, and they live for an entire month in Salem, the month of October in Salem, Massachusetts. And it's him like talking with shop owners and witches and, you know, all these people about what it's like. Yeah, so I am really, really, really looking forward to this one. I've had this on my shelf for a long time, for like years, and I need to get to it because this is right up my alley. So fingers crossed I actually get to it this October. The next one we have, this one was gifted to me by my lovely friend Ashley over at Ash Hearts Books. We did a book, like a gift exchange, like a Secret Santa over Christmas. And she was my Secret Santa. And she sent me this book, and she knows I'm not a paranormal reader. But I left the note inside the front cover, and it says, this one reads like a paranormal meets small town romance, and it was fabulous. Don't worry, it's paranormal light. So I'm down, and I've heard really, really good things about this series. This is Wolf Gone Wild by Juliet Cross. So again, it's kind of like a paranormal, which is like the whole Halloween-y, spooky vibe. So I'm looking forward to this one. It's a gorgeous cover. I actually bought the second book in this series without having read the first book yet, but that's a book person problem, is it not? And it says, what's the worst thing that can happen to a werewolf? So I am interested. I'm looking forward to this one. If Ashley liked it, and Ashley and I happen to have like a lot of the very same taste in romance, if she liked it, I'm sure I'm going to love it. So let's have hopefully we will enjoy that one. The next one is another one that I bought fairly recently. Where did I put it? Excuse me, sorry. I don't know why it was on my shelf. Clearly I was trying to clean things up. So this is one that I bought a few months ago when I was at the thrift store. And immediately when I bought it, I'm like, I got to read that in October. So let's hope I do. This is another Harlequin historical, but this is Halloween Night by Tori Phillips. I'm obsessed with the cat in the window for some reason. So clearly, damsel in distress, it says on the back. So yeah, I think, yeah, this is a medieval. So medieval's not usually my go-to with the Harlequin historicals, but we shall see what I think about this one. This is an older one. When was this originally published? Does it say? 2000. So this book is 21 years old. So that's a thing. But yeah, I am looking forward to trying this one out. Excuse me, you guys. Excuse me. So the next one is a NetGalley read that came out last year. Clearly, I haven't gotten to it yet, and I need to. And I'm like, this is the perfect time to read this one. I think this was on my October TBR last year, but I do have a physical copy of it, and I hope I enjoy it. And that is The Orphan of Cemetery Hill by Hester Fox. So this is The Dead Won't Bother You If You Don't Give Them Permission. Boston, 1844. Tabby has a particular gift. She can communicate with the recently departed. It makes her special, but it also makes her dangerous. So, clearly spooky, Halloween, 'tis the season. I can't wait. I can't wait. That one just sounds so good. I was actually originally going to read The Witch of Willow Hall, which I think is her first book. But then I remembered I had that one on from NetGalley. I'm like, well, let's go ahead and read that one. They're not part of a series or anything like that. So the next one is a middle grade book that I actually came across because when I was originally putting my list together for the Fall Under Reading Challenge, there were a couple of challenges that I knew were going to be a bit more difficult. Books that I didn't have a plethora of on my TBR already. And one of those is middle grade. I love reading middle grade, but I'm not like actively buying a lot of middle grade books or looking at a lot of middle grade books unless I need to for a challenge. So I started looking at middle grade books, trying to find something that would be a little bit more Halloween, spooky, October-esque. And I came across this one and I bought a copy on the Kindle. I actually paid full price. Like, for me, that's odd. But I figured for a middle grade novel, and most of the middle grade I'm reading, I'm really liking. I'm really hoping that I'm going to like this one. So this is Karma Moon, Ghost Hunter, and this is by Melissa Savage. It looks really cute. It's about a little girl who's a ghost hunter, and I'm just like, yes. This sounds so charming. So, and again, it's a middle grade. It'll probably be a very quick and easy read. I'm really looking forward to it. The next one is a book that I just recently heard about, even though I'm sure everybody and his brother heard about it already. And this is a paranormal romance-esque. And I found it on a list of like a blog post on Goodreads for, the most anticipated romance reads coming out in September. So this is being released September 28th. I am filming this on September 25th. And it's The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling, which I heard is a pen name for Rachel Hawkins. I think that's what I read. Can anyone confirm or deny that for me? This is the first book in the Ex-Hex series. And when I saw this one, I'm like, oh my God, there's a witch on the cover. I need to read this in October. And then I read that it's about this woman who breaks up with this guy and she's a witch and she like puts a hex on him. And then like 9 years later, he comes back and clearly is not doing well. So I guess it's a second chance romance, reverse the hex kind of an idea. So I'm intrigued. I'm really looking forward to this one. And then the next one, which is also going to be an audiobook. This one is from NetGalley. And like I was saying earlier in this video, an audiobook from NetGalley, once it expires, you can't listen to it. Like, from my understanding, I've been on NetGalley for years and I just learned this not long ago. But if you download the Kindle book to your Kindle, even if it passes the expiry date, like the book is no longer able to be downloaded on NetGalley, you still have access to it, which is very cool. But that's not the case for audiobooks. So this one will go away. And it is a Christmas book, but there's a couple Christmas books on this list. Just because that's the way it worked out, you guys. I need something to balance the spooky, right? So we have Christmas at Frozen Falls by Kylie Dunbar. This one looks super, super cute. Again, it's from NetGalley. I'm really looking forward to reading it. So The next 5 books I'm going to share with you guys. Sorry. I've been talking a lot today, so are my book club reading them for the podcast books. So I'm not going to share with you why I'm reading these books for the podcast, just that I am. So, did I put one of the books somewhere else? No, it's right here. Okay, good. Sorry. So the first one we have, actually, I will show these 2 together. So I will be reading books 2 and book 3 in the West Investigation series by Katie Richards. We have Missing at Christmas and Christmas Data Breach. So both of these books are getting read in October. And you will find out why if you listen to the podcast later on. But I am, oh yeah, plus another one. So I'll share that one in just a second. But I'm really, really looking forward to these 2. They're holiday-themed intrigues. I do love holiday-themed books. So again, looking forward to those 2. And then there's a third one in kind of that grouping, if you will, which is Bayou Christmas Disappearance by Denise N. Wheatley. I'll be reading this one in October as well. I do have an e-arc copy from NetGalley. This one doesn't actually come out till November, so I'll be reading it ahead of the release date, which is great. And then another one that I'm reading for the podcast is Her Best Kept Royal Secret by Lynn Graham. This is a Presents novel. This one will fly very, very quickly. I am really looking forward to it. Sounds really good. And then the last one, if you watched the live show here on my channel, which I literally just recorded. I'm recording this right after the live show that I did with Chloe and Bree for the Book Sisters Book Club. So the month of October, I picked the theme, and the theme is Canadian. So I'm encouraging you to read book by a Canadian author, takes place in Canada, or is about a Canadian event, or something like that. And I am going to be reading The Quintland Sisters by Shelley Wood. This is a fictionalized account of the Dion quintuplet story. So I'm very excited about this one. I think it's going to be really good. I do have quite a knowledge of the Dion quintuplets. I'm pretty sure I'm remembering in high school that I actually wrote an essay paper on them for history class. They were born in 1934 in rural Ontario. They are the first surviving identical quintuplets to survive to adulthood. And as of now, like 2021, 2 of the sisters are actually still alive. So this is like, I want to almost say modern history, because some of the key players, some of the key people in this story are still with us today. So it's living history, I want to say, not modern history, but living history. So yeah, it's really, really fascinating. I'm not going to go into the whole thing about the Dion quintuplets. If you are unfamiliar with them, do a quick Google search. You will find out all that you need to know. It's a tragic story, what happened to these girls when they were young. It is horrible that the Canadian government and the Ontario government did what they did. But again, it's a story that I find very, very interesting. And yeah, I'm really interested in reading this one. So those are the book club books. So the next group of books. I love cozy mysteries. You guys know I absolutely love cozy mysteries. And there's 2 times of year that cozy mysteries I just want the cozy mysteries. Like really, I love them all year round. But there are 2 times in the year that they just feel like now is the time. One of those times is Halloween, and the other is Christmas. And I've been in such a mood to read all of the Halloween cozy mysteries. But the issue is like, I look at them and I'm like, oh, it's number 13 in the series, or it's number 3 in the series, or what have you. And I'm like, oh, do I really want to read through all of those to get to this one? Because I'll probably like them, but I just really want to read the Halloween ones. I made a decision about a week ago. I'm like, you know what? Life is too short to read through a whole series just to get to one book. Like, I will probably end up going back and reading a lot of books prior in this series, or I've probably already read a lot of the books in these series, but I'm just in the mood to read Halloween cozy mysteries this month. I just want to do it. So I picked 6 of them that really stood out and sounded fun to me. So I have a couple of them. I actually have a couple of them that I got out from the library, but these are not counting for my library books. I know. But the first one, and the rest of them, there's only one that I actually own on my Kindle. The rest of them are all going to be either digital library borrows or the couple that I have physically. So the first one is Death of a Wicked Witch by Lee Hollis. This is the 13th book in the Haley Powell Food and Cocktails Mystery Series. I actually have this one from NetGalley, so I'm looking forward to reading this one. I'm going to borrow it from my library. And then I have The Spook in the Stacks by Eva Gates. This is the 4th book in the Lighthouse Library series, mystery series. I love the cover of this one with the cat he's reading. If you can't see the book title, it's Sleepy Hollow. But essentially I looked for ones that were like Halloween themed, either pumpkins on the cover or clearly had a Halloween type title, you know, because we all know if there's one thing cozy mysteries do brilliantly, it's punny titles. Speaking of, the next book is Crypt Suzette by Maya Corrigan. This is the 6th book in a 5-ingredient mystery series. Now, I've read a later book in this series. I read it last Christmas, and it was a Christmas-themed cozy, and I really liked it. It was really cute. It's about a woman and her father. So that's kind of our amateur sleuth team, and I kind of really love that. The next one is one that I have physically here, and this is The Black Cat Sees His Shadow by Kay Finch. This is the 3rd book in a Bad Luck Cat mystery series. So you can see it's like a fall fair, pumpkins, and of course, my heart for black cats. I love them. So yeah, I am looking forward to getting to that one. And then we have another physical copy here, A Catered Costume Party by Isis Crawford. This is the 13th book in a Mystery with Recipes series. So yeah, I love it. Like, look at that cover. Like, clearly a Halloween party. I love it. I absolutely love it. So, you know, cozy mysteries read relatively quickly, I find. And yeah, so I'm really looking forward to this one. Ooh, holy cow, 50 chapters. I do love a short chapter, though. There's something great about a short chapter. What about the rest of you guys? Short chapters, long chapters, do you have a preference or do you not care? I like short chapters because it's kind of like, oh, I'll just read one more chapter. Oh, I'll just read one more chapter. And then it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you're going to have trouble getting up for work the next day. So yeah, so that is the next one. And the last one for this, as I'm calling it, a cozy Halloween, we have another NetGalley book that I have called 15 Minutes of Flame. Like, come on with that title. By Christian Brecher, I think. And this is book 3 in a Nantucket Candle Maker mystery series. Looks absolutely adorable. Cannot wait to get to it. So then I will get into the books that I borrowed from the library. Let me make sure I've got them all here. Yep. Okay. So one of these you guys are going to absolutely laugh at me because I laughed at me. So the first one that we have here, I'm going to do these in order that I have them written down, is A Hex for Danger. And this is by Esme Addison. This is another cozy mystery. Sorry for the glare, you guys. It's those great, you know, library covers. I love them so much. So this is book number 2 in an Enchanted Bay mystery series. I'm looking forward to this one. It's not necessarily Halloween-esque, but I think it's very much, I mean, it's an Enchanted Bay, so clearly there's magic afoot, and there's a dog in it. Absolutely adorable. So this one, it should be really good. The next one I have, okay, so the next 2 books, I blame Shannon over at Shannon Riddler, and I will leave a link to her channel below. She's a delight. So essentially, what happened, that usually when I go to the library, I have no thought process. I just go in and see what they have, what strikes my fancy. But these 2 books, I actually pre-looked to see if my library had copies available, and if not, I was going to put them on hold. But they did. So the first one here, Shannon read this one. I watched one of her videos recently. It was, I think, her September in and out from the library. She borrowed this one from the library as well. And she honestly didn't particularly love it. But as someone who is a massive X-Files fan, I had to read it myself just to see. Because every reader is different. And what she might not like, I might love, and vice versa. So the book I am reading, or hoping to read, is The X-Files Origins, and this is, pardon me, Agent of Chaos, and it's by Cami Garcia. This is actually a YA X-Files book, and it's about Mulder. How did Fox Mulder become a believer? And there is a second book in this series about Scully when she was younger, and it's written by Jonathan Mayberry. So I love him as an author, so I'm looking forward to checking that one out too, but I am looking forward to this. Like, it's YA. It should not be at all that difficult to get through. Like, hello. Like the white space on these pages, like look at the type and everything. Like, wow, this should be a pretty easy book to get through. So I am looking forward to this one. So thank you, Shannon, for unintentionally pointing this in my direction. So I am interested in that. Oops, I think my pile of books is going to fall over. Maybe I'll start putting them over here. Okay, let's move this one over here. So the other one, when I was looking that one up, this one came up and I went, oh my gosh, there's graphic novels. So this is also called X-Files Origins, and it's a graphic novel. So this will fit perfectly for the graphic novel prompt on the Fall Into Reading Challenge. And this I can probably read in a couple of hours. I mean, it's a graphic novel. So like I said, it's called X-Files Origins, and there it is. And it's Mulder and Scully when they're young. And at first I was kind of like, in X-Files canon, as a fan, you gotta do it correctly, people. Scully and Mulder don't meet till the pilot. Like, they don't meet till that very first episode. But this one, it says, before the FBI, before the X-Files, there were just two teenagers in search of the truth. On Martha's Vineyard, a young Fox Mulder investigates something strange happening on the island. In San Diego, 13-year-old Dana Scully looks into the shocking murder of her teacher. Two kids, two mysteries, one conspiracy that threatens the future of humanity. I mean, come on. So this is by, I want to make sure I get the authors and the, okay. So Mulder's story is by Jody Hauser and Matthew Dow Smith. The script is by Jody Hauser. The art and letters by Chris Ferlagio, and the letters by Desi Sentley. And it's the same for the Scully story, but the art is by Corin Howell. The colors by Monica Cubina. And yeah, so, but like, the graphics in this is really good, you guys. Like, really good. Like, yeah, and it's a YA. It's labeled as a YA. So that's pretty fun. I don't want to give too much of the story away here. But ooh, alien something. So yeah, like I said, this I can probably finish very, very quickly. I was going to read the Pumpkin Patch one again that I read last year by Rainbow Rowell. But when I saw this one, I'm like, this perfectly fits the graphic novel prompt. So I'm looking forward to that one very much. Next up, this is a book I think that Krista from Books and Jams talked about. And it really interested me. And I forgot to write it down. And then I was at the library and I was scrolling through the shelves and I saw it and I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is the book. And it's called The Exiles, and it's by Christina Baker Klein. And this is a historical fiction novel. And it is about, I'll read the very beginning here. So it says, the author of the phenomenal #1 New York Times bestseller, Orphan Train, returns with a powerful, emotionally resonant novel that captures the hardship, oppression, opportunity, and hope of a trio of women's lives in 19th century Australia. So they're sentenced to exile to Australia from England. And that's the basis of the story. Again, sorry for the glare, you guys. But yeah, I am really looking forward to this one. Now, this one, you know, you might be thinking that doesn't sound particularly spooky or scary. But it's definitely darker, I think. And that's pretty much the tone I'm really going with. There are a few contemporary romances in here because I do need me a good contemporary romance every now and then. But the bulk of these things are going to be slightly darker. So just because of the season. And I am a seasonal reader as well. So I am looking forward to that one. And then the last one, this is the one that you guys are going to laugh at me for. So again, I was perusing through the library and I saw this one. I'm like, oh, I really want to read that one. I'm pretty sure at one time I owned a copy, but I think I got rid of it. So I'm like, I bought a copy of this book at the thrift store for $1. And then in my mind's eye, I got rid of it when I was purging books. But no, I didn't. Because it's actually sitting behind me on the shelf. But because I borrowed this from the library, I'm going to read the library copy. And if I don't like it, I'll donate the other one. It's fine. It cost me $1. Whatever. So this is The Dry by Jane Harper. And to my understanding, this is a mystery thriller, I think. And it's something about a drought. Sometimes it's the smallest of towns that hide the biggest secrets. So yeah, and this is her debut. She's an Australian author. It takes place in Australia. So I am interested. Clearly, not only did I pick it up from the library, but it's on my shelf. So hoping to get to this one. And if I don't, and I have to take it back to the library, so be it. I know I have a copy of it to read. No harm, no foul, right guys? No harm, no foul. So let's see here. The next few books, there's only a couple more, guys, I promise. I did say I was participating in Victober, which is being hosted by Kate Howe, and I'll leave a link to her channel down in the description box below. So I will be reading the buddy read, and that is Gothic Tales by Elizabeth Gaskell. I am listening to this on audio. So this is essentially a bunch of short stories by this author. I have never read this author before. I know she's a favorite of a lot of people, and I did order a copy of this Penguin Classics edition that I'm showing here, the cover, because I think it's gorgeous. There's just something about it that I absolutely love. So, yeah, so I'm going to be reading that on audio. It comes out on audio, I think, like the 3rd or 4th of October, so no problem. I should be able to get to it. The next two books, I'm actually buddy reading both of them with Rainey, because I bought this edition after seeing this book on Steve, over at Steve Donahue's channel. I'll leave a link to him below as well. Not that you guys are probably all familiar with Steve. And he bought this edition, and I was like, I must have that, because Alice in Wonderland is one of my very favorite books of all time. And this edition of it is just stunning. So this is a Penguin Deluxe edition. Penguin Classics Deluxe Edition. So there's the front cover. So this is Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. So I'm gonna read both. I don't know if Rainey's gonna read both or just the one, but there's the back cover. It's got buttery soft. It's got the French flaps and the deckled edges. And as you just saw, there is pictures inside. So I haven't read this since I was a kid. And I think the last time my father read it to me. So I'm very, very much looking forward to it. This is the 150th anniversary edition. So I just think it's really pretty on my shelf, and I'm looking forward to reading it. So Rainey and I are buddy reading that together, and we are also going to be buddy reading She Has Strong-Armed Me into Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. This one I will also be listening to on audio. All 12 and a half hours of it. For me, with classics like this are a bit easier because this is meant for children, right? So it's a little bit easier to get through, plus the fact that I'm already very familiar with the story. However, stuff like Gothic Tales and Wuthering Heights, like when I read Jane Eyre last year and when I read The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins, those, for me, I need the audio. I've tried reading them physically, and I just get way too intimidated. Where the audio, and what I found is I have had a few instances, I think it was with Pride and Prejudice, that I listened to the audio first, and then I went back like a year or two later, and I read the book itself. It was easier to read at that point because I could hear the words, I could hear the way that they were. Like, there really is, classics are almost a language unto themselves, and it's just, for me, it's easier to get through them on audio. So those are my last two audiobooks. And the very, very last few books. Again, it's a pile of possibilities, friends. I know there's no way I'm getting to all these books. I'm not delusional. Our Kindle Unlimited. As I talk about, I pay for Kindle Unlimited every month, and I haven't been utilizing it, and I need to utilize it. So I pick 3 books every month to get to. So the first one I have, and it just so happens that all 3 that came up, like that I randomly picked, were all like thriller-esque type books. So that's great. So the first one is Next Girl to Die by D. Poirier, I think is how you say her name. Oh yeah, and only one of these authors I'm familiar with, which is always exciting to try new authors. And this is book 1 in the Cedar Calderwood Case Files or Cases series. No idea what it's about. It's a thriller. I don't want to know. The next one, again, same thing. It's a thriller. I don't want to know what it's about, but I have read this author before. I believe if I'm correct, I'm looking at my shelf as if it's going to jump out at me. I'm pretty sure this author has written for the love-inspired suspense line. So these may be a Christian fiction thriller, which is kind of an interesting thing. I will report back. But we have Forgotten Secrets by Robin Perini. Unless I'm getting the name wrong. I could have the name wrong. Now that I'm thinking about it, disregard what I just said about Love Inspired, because that Robin spells it R-O-B-Y-N. But I think the last name is similar. I don't know. Maybe I'm just having a blonde moment. I don't know. Anywho, this one. It's the first book in the Singing River Legacy series. And last but not least is a standalone. And this is Black Rock Bay by Brianna Labascus, I think. And this one sounds really, really good too. So looking forward to it doesn't sound, it looks good. I didn't read anything about what any of these books are about. I'm just like, yes, I will read that. It's on Kindle Unlimited and it's free. And then outside of all of that big mess, or all of this big mess of books, I should say, I'm hoping to get to about 4 Babysitters Club books this month. Those I can generally finish in an hour. Like if I took my Kindle or my Kobo to work, I could read through one of those during my lunch break and it's fine. So yeah, so we shall see there. But anyway, of course these are long videos, guys. These are always long videos because I have stupid, ridiculous TBRs. It's just what I do. You guys seem to like it. I know I love it. So we're just going to continue to go with it. Me and my pile of possibilities. So do let me know in the comments below. What are you guys reading in October? Are you participating into the Fall Into Reading Challenge? Are you participating in Victober? Again, have you read any of these books? What did you think about them? And until my next video, everybody, take care and happy reading. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye, guys.